Hi, my name is Brandon, and I'm an alcoholic and addict in recovery. And today I want to talk about honesty and also avoiding being manipulative in your recovery. Very important concepts. Anybody who's in recovery will talk to you about the importance of rigorous honesty in recovery. And with that, we have to drop any manipulative ways that we've picked up in our addiction. Most of us in addiction had some aspect of life that we tried to manipulate. A lot of us lived by manipulation. That was the way that we got what we want, or at least that was the way that we tried to get what we thought we wanted. And a lot of us spent a lot of our time doing nothing but manipulating other people as a means to our own ends. In Recovery 2.0 by Tommy Rosen, he talks about a situation where he was in rehab, he was in recovery, receiving in-person treatment, and found out one of his friends was going to come to the same center that he was in. But there's two parts to this center. And if his friend ended up in a different part, then they might not be able to talk and experience things together. And so he talks about going into this mode where he thought about how he could manipulate the situation to make sure that he and his friend were in the same part of the center. And he talks about how it sparked these feelings of wanting something, of needing something, of almost jonesing for some particular outcome that he wanted. And then he realized what was going on, and instead of doing that, he went to his counselors and he told them how he was feeling. He told them that he wanted to experience recovery with his friend that he had spent so much time in addiction with, that he thought they would both benefit from it, and he gave them all the reasons why, and then he let go. He left the decision up to them. Turns out in this situation that his friend, they did feel like it would be good for them to be in recovery together, and I think that that led to what was a happy ending for him. And here's how he describes it. He says, "I have found that the truth has set me free. When I drop into manipulation mode, it has not generally served me in my life. If I am willing to forsake my own principles in order to bring about an outcome to which I've become attached, it signifies that I'm on the road of commotion. My suffering will be forthcoming. Learning to tell the truth is a necessary component of recovery. I've been dishonest for a long time. At Hazelden, I began to learn how," and Hazelden is the treatment center he was at. "At Hazelden, I began to learn how to be honest and to see how this would have an immediate benefit, such as the peace of mind that comes from developing the ability to let things go." I can tell you that honesty and expressing honesty and avoiding trying to manipulate situations, I used to think that that manipulating life to my desires and to try to get my outcomes was a way to reduce stress in life, because my overall thinking was, if I get what I want, then life will be easier. That is not true. That is not true. In fact, a lot of times the things we want are not necessarily the things we need. And so what I found in recovery is that instead of manipulating, I have to adopt rigorous honesty. And when I'm very honest with other people, with myself, about what's going on around me, then what I find, and when I can let go and not worry about the outcomes as much, then I find the stress starts to lift. It happened literally right before I was reading this. I did not know this was what I was going to read this morning. And I've got an issue where I'm going back to school right now. I've got a group project that I'm working on, and one particular person has not done their part in the group project, and it's due today. And we got an email from this person last night where they said that they don't think they can do their part of the project, or they're not sure how to do it. And so my first instinct was, well, how do I manipulate this situation so that I can make sure that our professor knows who did what part of the project, so that our professor knows that me and the other people in the group had to pick up slack for this person. And I realized that that's not the right way to go about doing it. I started feeling stressed out because there was an outcome that I really wanted, and I was trying to take control of the situation. I had to be really honest with myself. Why did I want to make sure that that happened? And I understand that I really wanted to, it was a pride and ego thing. I really wanted to make sure that my work and my part was recognized. And I'm not really thinking too much about other people when I get into that mode of thinking. And so I need to back up and take a little bit of a bigger look at things and realize that, the most important thing is that the work gets done no matter who does it. And if the professor asks me who participated, I will be willing to talk honestly about it, but it's not necessary for me to try to take control of the situation to make sure that it's understood what exactly happened. That's not something I need to do. And so that rigorous honesty comes back to me as well. I've got to be honest with myself about what I'm feeling and what my motivations are, because so many times my motivations are to serve myself. And when that is the key, that is what's going on, when I want to serve myself through my actions, I've got to take a step back and say, is this really the right thing to do? So by doing that, I can let go. And it's only when I realized all this that I let go, I was able to start letting go of a resentment that was forming in me to this person who wasn't participating like they should in the group. And the bottom line is, I don't know what's happening in this person's life. And in fact, maybe instead of developing a resentment and thinking about, oh, well, how can I get a professor to recognize they didn't do their part? Maybe what I should do is check and make sure that everything's okay in that person's life and that they don't need help in some way. And so you got to go through all of this, and it's certainly taken me a while to get to a point where rigorous honesty is feeling more natural. And it doesn't always. Sometimes I have to really work hard at it. And sometimes I catch myself after the fact trying to manipulate situations, being dishonest. And it's just something that I have to continue working on. But I recognize it as a very important part of the recovery work that I'm doing, because just like Tommy in the book, when I try to manipulate things to get an outcome that I want, I start to feel that level of stress that I used to feel in my addiction. And once I feel that level of stress, I'm only a couple steps away from my brain going, oh, I know how to resolve this stress. I go back to the bottle, I go back to the smoke, and that's a good way to resolve this stress. So I've got to take a different path, and that's the path of honesty. That's the path of avoiding manipulating situations to my own means. And once I start doing that, once I start to be honest and really start to just let go of things and let them happen on their own, it's actually really cool to watch life unfold rather than trying to control the way it happens, because it's a little bit more of a beautiful thing to see what happens just as a result of your own honesty with yourself and the people around you. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with more. Have a good one.